rising. Kendrick, shalom, shalom. The net. Top of the day, beautiful family. All right, y'all. Happy Monday. It is September the 26th, 2022. 2022. Day 222 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, it is 1,240. And we're picking back up on page 656 in Book of Esther, daughter of Jehovah. Hey, girl, hey. Father, you are essential. All right, y'all. Auntie, blissful rising, Hannah, shalom, set apart, blessed rising. And everybody hanging out in the background. First, shalom, brother, shalom, shalom. This weekend's videos have been, let's just say, not lacking from both sides. This is really, really interesting. Really, really interesting, right? On Naftali's video, the one she was on last night towards the end, you know, I wasn't gonna say, I was just there paying attention, but at least got her to agree to read Oahspe with me, right? Okay, that's what it is. I'm trying to find a keynote, y'all. Trying to find a keynote. We're not enemies, we family, brothers and sisters. That's what I'm looking for. Somebody who at least, let's walk together. Let's walk together on this. Found one, right? It'll be a while because we're going to read through it together, right? And we'll come back once we get done, right? All right. Kind of excited about it. Excited to see where it goes, right? She's a very, very smart person. I like her. She's a researcher too, so let's see what we can get popping. Nay, shalom, shalom. All right, beautiful people. We are chapter... Did we do 14? We stopped at 14. Hold on, I'm gonna check my Roman numerals, y'all, because I know how I get. That's for like 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, 14. All right, y'all. Global purpose, grand rising. All right, y'all. For 300 years prior to the above transactions, the 4 false gods had been in war to a limited extent in their heavens and for certain earth possessions also. In China, the Cayuans, and not the Cayuans, it's Confucians, had made great progress to the injury of the false Brahma in Oahspe, but the latter had pushed his people into Vidyu and Parsi. On the other part of Kabbalictes, the false Buddha, he had pushed his people into China and Parsi also, and in many parts of Vidyu, these Buddhists had treated the Brahmins with great slaughter. But neither of the above false gods was a match for Thoth, alias God Gabriel. Under the name and doctrines of Mohammed, he had made great inroads upon the possessions of the other 2 false gods, both as to the earth and the heavens thereof. And yet, on the other hand, Luamong, the false Christ, had taken advantage of all the other 3 false gods. He had found mortal emissaries in Britain, which is Western Europa, which we know Europa as being Europe. Thailand, hey girl, hey, you're still in Disney. He had found mortal emissaries in Britain, Western Europa, whom he had inspired under the name East India Company. To these he had said, "Come, I will lead you where there is great wealth and most luxurious enjoyment. Behold, ye shall possess the place and overcome the heathen of a rich country." So Luamong led them, and they took with them missionaries and Bibles and swords and cannons and warships. And when they arrived at Vidyu, Luamong, through his angel host, said unto them, "Tell these heathen, ye are worshippers of the Lamb of Peace, that ye have come in love and for righteousness' sake. And behold, they will receive you. And it shall come to pass, when ye are once within, ye shall fall upon them and destroy them by the million, men, women, and children. And ye shall fall upon their aqueducts, which irrigate the lands, and ye shall destroy them also. And behold, millions of these heathen shall starve every year because of the famines that shall surely come upon them. Now all these came to pass. The idolaters of Luamong did fall upon the Buddhists' earthly possessions, and did possess the land of Vidu, and in the name of Christ and the Holy Ghost did kill 7 million men, women, and children. And they also destroyed the aqueducts, whereby famines came upon the Viduans, so that in the course of time 30 million more perished of starvation. Now, although Cabalites thus lost in a great measure his earthly possessions, he still maintained the heavens of Vidu, so that Luamong really gained but a few souls in heaven after all his destructions. Luamong had also led his mortal emissaries into China in hopes to possess that country also. He had said to them, Go thither and enforce upon them the opium trade. And it shall come to pass, they will become a drunken and worthless people, and ye shall fall upon them and overcome them and possess all their country, wherein there are stored great riches. And the idolaters of the false Christ did fall upon the Chinese and enforce the opium trade, and did also make many of them a drunken and worthless people. And after they were thus drunk, the idolaters of the false Christ raised the cry, Behold, the drunken heathen, the indulgers in opium. Nevertheless, the Cayuans of China were in mighty power, and they baffled Luamong's emissaries in all further encroachments. Now, although Luamong had been beaten by the wisdom of God in possessing the colonies of Gautama, remember Gautama is the Americas. Trina, hey girl, hey. Great Spirit, shalom, brothers and sisters in the UK. The idolaters of the false Christ did fall upon the Chinese and enforce the opium trade, and did also make many of them a drunken and worthless people. And after they were thus drunk, the idolaters of the false Christ raised a cry, Behold, the drunken heathen, the indulgers in opium. Nevertheless, the Cayuans of China were in mighty power, and they baffled Luamong's emissaries in all further encroachments. Now, although Luamong had been beaten in the wisdom of God and possessing the colonies of Gautama, nevertheless, Luamong still hoped to regain the country to himself, and to carry out his designs, he sent 2,000 million angel warriors to accomplish the destruction of the Algonquin tribes that inhabited the country. And this also came to pass. The idolaters of Luamong did fall upon the Algonquins and caused 3 million of them to be put to death, men, women, and children. Chapter 15. The subtitle for 15 is God, Jehovah's Son, casteth out the 4 false gods. When the right time came, Jehovah spake to God, saying, My son, behold, the Cosmine era is near, the light of the ark of Suez into the fields of paradise. Stretch forth thy hand over the nations of the earth and over the heavens thereof, and sweep clean thy kingdoms for my everlasting light. The 4 false gods, the perpetrators of the beast, will call out in agony, but thou shalt heed them not in my judgments. Then sent God forth his disciplined host, 12,000 million, to cut off the supplies of the earth, even as a mortal general cutteth off the supplies of a wicked city to subdue it, so was cut off the accumulated power of the 4 false gods, that they that had proclaimed themselves the saviors of mortals and angels. So was cut off the accumulated powers. Reference number 10 at the bottom of this page says, so was, and in brackets, cut off the accumulated power of the all light shone upon the 4 kingdoms of the 4 false gods. I'll read this verse again. Then God sent forth his disciplined host, 12,000 million, to cut off the supplies of the earth, even as a mortal general cutteth off the supplies of a wicked city to subdue it, so was cut off the accumulated power of the 4 false gods, they that had proclaimed themselves the saviors of mortals and angels. And the angels of God spread around about the whole earth, and armies of millions and tens of millions, well disciplined, they gathered together in the mortal cities and in the country places amongst all nations, tribes, and people. And these angel armies were officered and drilled to work in concert with lines of light extending to the throne of God. And God spake in paradise by means of the lines of light, and his voice went into all the mighty armies of his host, the 12,000 million, saying, Cut off the earth supplies of the four beasts of the earth. They and their countless legions of followers have become profitless in the resurrection of mortals and angels. Their names have become a stench upon the earth. Their mortal followers are grovelers in all manner of uncleanliness. Their spirits have become as vagabonds on the earth and in the heavens thereof. My hosts have tried to persuade them, but they will not hear. The light of the upper kingdoms they will not receive. But I will make them look up. Like beasts that are untamed, they shall cry out for sustenance, but they shall not find it in the places of their old haunts. Then the hosts of God marched in betwixt of the Jehovahs, the worshippers of the four false gods, and their mortal heavens. And the Jehovahs turned to their respective gods, the false Brahma, the false Buddha, and Gabriel and Kala of the false Christ, crying out, Behold, our supplies are cut off. Is not the earth thy kingdom, and the place of thy footstool? Sayest thou not that thou wert the Almighty? How then hath another God come between us? If thou art indeed our Savior, now save us. But if thou hast been all this while deceiving, then hell shall be thy portion. The four false gods heard the cry of anger and suspicion in their mighty kingdoms, and heard the wailings of the 60,000 million, and they feared and trembled. Most of all in fear was the false Christ, for sake of aggrandizing his own kingdom, he had it proclaimed on the earth that whosoever believeth in me shall be saved, but whosoever believeth not in me shall be in danger of hell fire. We've read that before somewhere, haven't we? Verse 15, and countless millions of mortals have taken no thought as to self-resurrection, but taken him at his word, and so had lived and died and become his slaves for hundreds of years. Millions of these angels had heavenly banners made with the promise of this false Lord inscribed thereon, and with these went into processions of heaven, crying out, Bread or blood, bread or blood. We come not to bring peace in heaven. We come to bring a sword. We come to set angel against angel. Give unto us, O thou our God, or hell shall be thy portion. Thus it came to pass, and as had been foretold by God, whereof he had said, Anarchy shall encompass your heavenly kingdoms, and ye shall yet own that ye are false before Jehovah. And the four false gods, fearing the fires of hell, went about crying out, I am not the true Brahma. Oh, now we get a little bit of sense about ourselves. You're going to tell the truth about who you are. And the four false gods, fearing the fires of hell, went about crying out, I am not the true Brahma. I am not the true Buddha. I am not the true God. I am not the true Christ. For they hoped thereby to save themselves. But alas for them, their thousands of millions fell upon their heavenly cities, palaces, and thrones, and robbed them. And when their fury was started, behold, the vast multitudes rushed for the false gods and fell upon them, beat them, suffocated them with foul smells, covered them up with suffocating gases, walled them in with sulfurous fires. And they brought the officers and priests and monks and high officers and cast them into hells also, millions and millions of high ruling angels of the false gods. Thus were these four false gods hemmed in, even within their own dissolute kingdoms, and every day and every hour grew more terrible. And it was the infuriated madness of 60,000 million deceived angels broken loose from slavery turned upon them. Then Jehovah's God from paradise went forth in a ship of fire, brilliant, past the endurance of Jehovah's, went forth with 10 million high intergrades, 10 million against 60,000 million. God brought these from the realms of Aroku and Hariviyah, well disciplined for the purpose. And on the ship and on the banners thereof were inscribed these words, There is but one great spirit, Jehovah. To assimilate with him is the salvation of mortals and angels. He crieth out, Come unto me. My kingdoms are ample unto all the living. Be ye strong in resurrection, for I am come to deliver. And God gathered in from the highest grades of the disrupted heavenly kingdoms 13,000 million homeless angels who had been worshippers of the four false gods. And God had them sent to Luana on the plateau, Hephaestus, where he officered them in colonies with places for education and labor. God said unto them, Ye hope to ascend to Jehovah's highest kingdom by prayer and confessions to false gods. Behold, I say unto you, there is no resurrection, but by developing the talents Jehovah created unto all men. Go ye to work, therefore, and to the places of education, that ye might become fit companions to Jehovah's exalted angels. And that was the end of chapter 15. Chapter 16 on page 658, y'all. Tiffany, hey girl, hey. Trent, I gotta call you. I meant to call you and ask you how things going. The update with the procedure you told me about. Okay, y'all. Francis, love, power, wisdom, brother. Okay, chapter 16, page 658. The subtitle under chapter 16 is God Delivereth the Four False Gods Out of the Four Hills. S said, Now was God, Jehovah's Son, master of the whole earth and her heavens. And behold, the era of Cosmon was at hand. The light of the ark had fallen on the throne of God. Jehovah's Orion chiefs from the emancipated heavens had come. Paradise was like a new kingdom. 1,000 million Etherians had arrived to labor with God in clearing away the hells of the lower heavens and in providing for the opening providing for opening the gates of the heavens for the angels to appear unto mortals. Matazi, goddess of Alphad in the roads of Lu in Ethera, had brought back the armies of the Inquisitions. Hativi, goddess of the Lutean swamps in Wasatau plains in Ethera, was there with massacred of Bagan God. Y'all remember Bagan God, right? We've done a couple of videos on who Bagan God was. Monetesian, goddess of Tuwissa, was there with the persecutors of Zarathustra. Forgive me for screwing these names up. Norwalthechissa, goddess of the forest of Nadia in Ethera, was there with the persecutors of Brahma, the pure and true, and the persecutors of Moses and Capelia. Besides these, there were 46 other goddesses, each with a host of angels who had in the ancient times striven against Jehovah in favor of some false god. But now, in the coming of Cosmon, behold, they returned as pure and exalted gods and goddesses. As God, Jehovah's Son, called forth these one-time persecutors, he said unto them, Behold, there are 4 great hells, and 6 smaller hells, and 14 still smaller hells still existing in these lower heavens. Since ye were once cast into hells, and afterward delivered by the angels of Jehovah, go ye now and deliver the hells of these. And bring ye the chief false gods before me. My marshal will allot you to the respective places I have appointed unto you. Then went forth the gods and goddesses, as appointed by God, to deliver the 24 hells of the heavens and the earth. And they took with them unto this labor 6,000 million angel laborers, well skilled in such matters. And in 34 days the hells were delivered. What? The hells were delivered in 34 days? Some people can't even get a good habit started in 30 days. They fighting with themselves, let alone trying to deliver other people that done lost their mind after they done lost their flesh. And in 34 days, the hells were delivered, broken up, and gone. And from these hells, there were thus delivered more than 70,000 million angels who were carried to the plateau, prepared for them by God, Jehovah's Son. And God had also provided unto them in their new heavenly places divisions and subdivisions with generals, captains, overseers, and such other officers necessary to prevent them running into knots and hells again, of the false gods and goddesses thus delivered and brought before God in paradise for judgment. The chiefs of them were Ashtaroth, we know about Ashtaroth, Dagon, Ashdod, Yotimes, Sotheus, Goluth, Plutoya, Ittis, Hamgad, Moak, Hayar, Baal, Enochissa, Kabbalah, Gabriel, and Luamon. Besides these, there were 70 other false gods and goddesses delivered, but who were not brought before the throne of God, but were sent to hospitals because they were in chaos. God had previously provided paradise through his holy council for the time of judgment of the false gods that were brought before him. So the holy councils were formed in crescent, so that the throne of God laid betwixt the horns thereof, in order to promote the voice. Remember, the voice is the voice of the Creator. The marshals then brought the false gods and goddesses into the arena of circle, where the light should fall upon them. And that's the end of chapter 16. Chapter 17, remember the crescent? It's simply like the crescent of the moon. That's how they set their I guess you can say their court, right? So they're all gathered around in almost a circle, but in a crescent. And at the horns, or the 2 points at the beginning and the ending of the crescent, they call those the horns. And the chief sits right there, right? Or the God that's on the throne. They sit there and then they judge, or they give instruction, right? Okay, I'll read verse 15, 16, and 17 again before we go into chapter 17. God had previously provided paradise through his holy council for the time of the judgment of the false gods that were brought before him. So the holy councils were formed in crescent, so that the throne of God laid betwixt the horns thereof, in order to promote the voice. The marshals then brought the false gods and goddesses into the arena of circle, where the light shall fall upon them. Chapter 17, subtitle, Jehovah judgeth the false gods and goddesses. As said, the voice spake out of the light over the throne of God, saying, because I admonish both earth and heaven, saying, whoso setteth up more than the I am shall be bound, and whoso hearkeneth unto them and runneth after them shall be bound unto them. And they heeded not my commandments, but made worshipful other gods than me, so shall they reap the harvest they have sown. Let me reread this, right? This is Creator, not one of the gods. Gods being one-time humans born of women, right? Or you call them Savior, whatever title you want to give them, right? Oahspe at the very beginning gives you the definitions of what these terms are as relates to this book, but we'll tell you and show you that in other nations they are called different things, right? If we could get that and be on the same page with that, there won't be arguing over terms and whose name is what, right? Those are petty arguments. Listen. As said, the voice spake out of the light over the throne of God, saying, because I admonish both earth and heaven, saying, whoso setteth up more than the I am being the Creator. I believe all that would be like a keynote point that all of Israel agrees on. The I am is the Creator, the most holy, Yahuwah, right? Yah, Jaja, whatever term you like best, right? But we can agree that is Creator, right? The Creator of all things. As said, the voice spake out of the light over the throne of God, saying, because I admonish both earth and heaven, saying, whoso setteth up more than the I am shall be bound, and whoso hearkeneth unto them and runneth after them shall be bound unto them. And they heeded not my commandments, but made worshipful other gods than me, so shall they reap the harvest they have sown. Because they drew the sword to establish themselves, they were bound by the sword. Because they took upon themselves heavenly kingdoms, I bound them thereunto. Because they profess salvation in the names of false gods, I let them run their course. You got to let them see it out to the end, G. We talk about it all the time. Well, Father, how can you let this go? And how can you let this happen? Calm down. Calm down. Let me see it to the end.
Tell them I said, come on.
You ready to go? My keys right here, babe.
Who ready to go?
I ain't say nobody was ready, but I said my keys right there.
I don't need your keys.
Oh, excuse me.
These,
What you looking for?
the warehouse keys.
Oh, okay. Did he give it back?
No, he don't have to get it back today because I got a delivery coming in, but I might keep one of them back.
Do you need me to go?
I don't know yet. I was going to say, got mine out of them too, so I don't know.
Okay, well, call me, let me know.
I don't know.
And I will come running, baby. Okay. Hold on. What'd you say? The who? Oh, the dinger. You know what? I don't know. I hadn't opened the door. All right, let me go back to verse 7. No, verse 6. They have built up kingdom against kingdom, standing army against standing army. Nope, let me go back up to 5. Because they profess salvation in the names of false gods, I let them run their course. And lo and behold, they have shown no salvation in heaven or earth. They have built up kingdom against kingdom, standing army against standing army. Verily, they have brought judgment upon themselves. Hear the words of Jehovah, O ye false gods and goddesses, who set up heavenly kingdoms against me, who slew hundreds of millions of mortals in order to make other names than mine worshipful on the earth and in the heavens thereof. What name other than the Creator? Everybody else's name that you worship aside from the Creator, aside from Yah, right? We got problems. Hear the words of Jehovah, O ye false gods and goddesses who set up heavenly kingdoms against me, who slew hundreds of millions of mortals in order to make other names than mine worshipful on the earth and in the heavens thereof. Ye who cried out falsely, behold me, I am the light and the life. Through me is the way of salvation. Ye who have used your names to lead mortals and angels away from the Creator, saying of yourselves, behold me, I am the Lord, I am God, my heavenly place is the all highest. Behold, I had spoken in the olden times. I had said, whoso aspired to be a king of the earth, or a queen, or emperor, or ruler over a nation or people, and I give to him his desire, he shall be bound with the people of his administration. Neither shall he rise to my emancipated heavens till he hath carried up with him every soul that he had dominion over. But he shall be bound unto that people in the first and second resurrection, even until the lowest of them are raised in wisdom and virtue and good works, sufficient for the grade of brides and bridegrooms to my ethereal realms. So those whom you lead astray, you will have to come and unlead astray in the truth of our Creator, whom we also refer to affectionately as Father or Abba, right? It's only right. If your children mess up the house, don't you? If they're of age, we talking about those that know better. We ain't talking about the babies who are grown, who the kids just mess up stuff and we have to help them clean up. We talking about the teenagers as they get older, and especially when they get adults. We hold them to a higher standard. Like, what are you doing? You come clean up your mess, right? Because if you keep cleaning up their messes, you enable them, or we enable them to continue acting like vagabonds and tyrants on this earth. You don't want to be putting a bad product out there in the street where it's going to come back on your name. Pam, you heard your kids was out there in the street? Oh, absolutely not. Not the ones coming from James and Pamela. Absolutely not. Get yourself in here. First of all, we did not raise you to be this way, right? It's the same thing with our Father, right? We got a big household war going on between all of his children, right? A lot of people like to believe that the Creator has favorites, right? Or he cares nothing about all his creation. But if we dig a little further, he didn't just create one type of people. He created all people, right? Our Father is very, very colorful, right? We can tell that even in nature. Look at all the pretty colors. Do you think he would make us any less? Look at all the pretty colors. It's never been about race, people. We are really one species. We can tell the difference between us, humans, and all of creation. There are different types of species, right? That you can splice together and you cannot splice together, right? Or i.e., some people call it mixing. There's big arguments over all of this stuff. But we are literally one because we still reproduce after our own kind, right? Doesn't matter. We're not mixing like pigs and cows and you get this God-forsaken thing, right? You're still reproducing after our own species, even if it's a different color, right? We ain't gonna get into all that, but I'm just saying, pay attention to nature. Everything our Father created in us and wanted us to understand about us, he put it in creation. All of those things he wanted us to understand that is crossing the lines and boundaries of what our function is and what we were created to be, we can see clearly in nature, right? We got to just not look at words and books, but we have to also test all things and look at all the resources and everything around us to go, everything. You have to consider all things, all things. Some things may not be the best example, but take what's good, burn what's bad. That's my theory. We keep what's good. Everything else ain't good for nothing but the fire. And I'm lighting it up. Right? That's why we're going through everything. We're going to take the time and go through and see what's good. Right? Okay. Let me read this again. Verse 11, page 658, chapter 17. Shebrew says, I see you came in the room. Hello. Shalom. Ganah. Greetings and peace. All right, y'all. Verse 11. Behold, I had spoken in the olden times, Behold, I had spoken in the olden times. I had said, whoso aspireth to be a king of the earth, or a queen, or emperor, or ruler over a nation or people, and I give to him his desire. Meaning, you ask for a church, you ask for a following, a camp, whatever you want to call it. You got a following. It could even be on social media, right? You are responsible for your people. These are your people now, and you are responsible for them, right? So you had better been on point. And if you making mistakes, you had better, when you recognize it, fix it, and make sure you fix it with your people, right? Don't leave them hanging in the disillusionment and the error that you were once in. Every time you raise a little higher, share with them so we can all raise higher together. Jamia, shalom. Lanita, greetings. Lorette, shalom, sis. Listen. Whoso aspire to be a king of the earth, or queen, or emperor, or ruler over a nation or people, and I give to him his desire, he shall be bound with the people of his administration. Neither shall he rise to my emancipated heavens till he hath carried up with him every soul that he hath dominion over. He shall be bound, but he shall be bound unto that people in the first and second resurrection, even unto the lowest of them are raised in wisdom and virtue and good works, sufficient for the grade of brides and bridegrooms to my ethereal realms. And if a king stretch forth his arm to subdue and annex other countries unto his own, suffer thou him to do so, for he is magnifying his bondage for the resurrection of the low. Right? You taking over these places? I'll allow it. But now you are responsible for them as well. You have to also raise them up. When you get tired of playing your game of slaves, right? And after they come upon you because they found out you were lying and you couldn't take them any higher than the information you already had, you're going to be thrown into disillusionment and they're going to be on your tail, right? But we ain't going to let it happen for too long. We're going to come rescue you. We're going to restore you to sanity and we're going to give you your people back. I want it to not. Ain't that what it say? No, I don't want it. I am not the God. I am not. I'm not a prophet. No, I'm a farmer. That ain't how this game is played, son. Daughter, this is not how this game is played. You've taken responsibility for yourself. Now I'm going to make sure you grow in this responsibility, right? Let me teach you how to properly raise your people that you first had led astray. Come on, let's walk together in this. And then they take it. All right. And they put their hand to the plow. They get to work, finally. And if a king stretch forth his arm to subdue and annex other countries unto his own, suffer thou him to do so, for he is magnifying his bondage for the resurrection of the low. And thou shalt apply these rules unto all earthly rulers, be they kings or queens, or emperors or presidents, or governors, or legislators, or judges, or popes, or priests, or preachers, or whosoever presumeth to rule over, or to lead, or to exact servitude from others, and the term of the bondage unto them in the lower heavens shall be in proportion to the magnitude of their dominions. But to whomsoever attaineth dominion by the sword, or extendeth dominion by the sword, and by blood and death, his bondage shall be 100-fold. And whosoever maintaineth his dominion by standing armies, thou shalt compute the number thereof, and to him and his high officers the bondage in the lowest heaven shall be equal to 10 times the number of soldiers thereof, and 10 times the number of years of the servitude of the multitude of his armies. For whosoever taketh from my people for his own glory or dominion shall render unto me the just value. All right, okay. I'm the captain. You're going to have to pay when all of this is done. And if you've exacted life, strength, toil, and the flesh of my people, it's me you're going to have to answer to, right? And everything you did, I'm going to double, triple, 100-fold back unto you till you learn how to not do what you've been doing to your brothers and sisters, right? That's just. That seems just to me, right? For whosoever taketh from my people for his own glory or dominion shall render unto me the just value. Whosoever engageth in war, or leadeth in war, or is a captain, or a general, and causeth the death of whom I created alive, he shall not rise to inherit my emancipated heavens, as long as there remaineth war upon the earth. But he shall toil in the lowest heavens of the earth to educate and raise up the Jehovih thereof, which shall be his labor. You done screwed it up, you're going to help clean it up. And whoso hath great riches and many servants, his resurrection shall be no faster than the resurrection of those that serve him. And y'all going to rise together, right? Ain't going to be no one ahead of the other. You ain't the leader this time. You all go together. Walk side by side. And whoso hath great riches and many servants, his resurrection shall be no faster than the resurrection of those that serve him. And whoso hath great riches and yet no servants, but liveth for himself, thou shalt apportion his place in the first resurrection, even according to the good he might have done. Had he obeyed my commandments, and he shall do in heaven what he neglected to do on earth. And he shall not rise to my emancipated heavens until he hath appropriated according to that which I get. Hold on, let me read it over. And he shall not rise to my emancipated heavens until he hath appropriated according to that which I give him into his keeping. To that which I give, I still messed it up. The one word. Let me read it one more time. And he shall not rise to my emancipated heavens until he hath appropriated according to that which I gave him into his keeping. God said, the words that come out of man's mouth, even though they profess prayers and repentance, are of little avail before Jehovah. But the words that come up out of good works done unto others to raise them up are as the sound of a trumpet that reacheth beyond the stars. For in all ages of the world there have been deceivers and hypocrites with temples and churches to worship in, professing to serve the Creator, but in fact serving an idol. And their priests and preachers speak good doctrines, but they practice them not, save a little, as a blind to lead the multitude astray. I'll read that again. And their priests and preachers speak good doctrines, but they practice them not, save a little, as a blind to lead the multitude astray. And they live in fine houses and fare sumptuously every day, and are skilled in oratory and doctrinal precepts, but they will not go and serve the poor, teaching them how to live. Again the voice spake, saying, my judgments are upon those that profess me, dealing out their pittance to the poor, whilst they themselves live above want. When such men die and enter the first resurrection, they shall be handed over to those that are in darkness, and their bondage shall be 100-fold. For they preach the words of righteousness with the mouth, but in their behavior they laid the foundations for the kingdom of hypocrisy. Verily I give unto them the harvest that cometh of their own sowing. These then have been my doctrine since thousands of years, and known unto you before ye deserted my kingdoms. If such then be my judgments unto mortals who serve false gods, how much greater then must be the penalty upon the false gods who set themselves up to establish these iniquities. Hear ye then the judgment of Jehovah. Whosoever hath established the name of any god but the Creator, whosoever hath established the name of any god but the Creator and made it worshipful on earth or in heaven shall be bound in the first resurrection till that name no longer is worshipful on the earth or in heaven. So we know Luamung is still floating around in the hotter somewhere, my G. Because look at the names that are still running rampant across the earth, right? Two predominantly, right? The Christ, the false Christ, and also Allah, right? I know some people can argue Allah just means it's another term for God and not an actual deity. We ain't getting into all that, right? But these are two prominent major religions that are running rampant, that are at war against one another, right? Remember, a house divided against itself cannot stand. The Father's sons and daughters are down here constantly killing. This is his house. This is his place. And we turn it up like we ain't got no goddamn home training. No sense whatsoever. Right? Listen. Hear ye then the judgment of Jehovah. Whosoever hath established the name of any God but the Creator and made it worshipful on the earth or in heaven shall be bound in the first resurrection till the name is no longer worshipful on earth or in heaven. We're still in that day. And whatsoever God or goddess hath said, come unto me, ye that are heavily laden, and I will give you rest, for I am the way of salvation and of light and of everlasting life. That God or goddess shall be bound in the first resurrection as long as mortals or angels go unto him or her. Lil Monk definitely hanging out in the hot on my G. Brian Jogi, shalom. Zachariah Hu Yashara. Shalom, shalom. Time for hey. Page 659. I'll read verse 29 again. And whatever God or goddess has said, come unto me, ye that are heavily laden, and I will give you rest, for I am the way of salvation and of light and of everlasting life. Then that God or goddess shall be bound in the first resurrection, as long as mortals or angels go unto him or her. Behold, as such a God called, and they answered unto him, so do I give unto both the God that calleth and the subject that runneth unto him. For I give liberty even unto my enemies, right? So that's how good our Creator, our Father is. You want to do what you want to do? He said, I'll allow it. Give them liberty, right? Because in me, there is complete freedom. I'm not holding you to anything. I'm not making you to feel like you're in bondage. That's why I gave you free will to choose. You can choose to live in my house peaceful with all your brothers and sisters with me, and I can teach you some things. I can teach you how I create, how these things are done. I can unfold some awesome mysteries that your mind can't even comprehend. And some of these things you won't even learn until you pass your flesh back to that dust and you are truly born, right? You have become fully born, right? Born out of the earth womb, and we become fully spirit. Like, we can still operate and communicate with spirits. Not that you should go doing seances and stuff and trying to call up the spirits of the dead, because we found out why we shouldn't do that. Scripture, the Holy Bible teaches us that we should not go consult mediums and those who call up the spirits of the dead. But Oahspe takes it a level higher and actually explains why, right? Because you got some family members on what you call the left-handed path. They said, okay, but they're giving us information like the spirits or the ancestors, whatever they want to label them, right? They're labeling it, well, this is a thing, so you're telling us not, but they done told me this to help me. Like, we got to answer that information, right? So we can't just talk about words. We actually need some people who know the words, right? Who have studied, but also have taken the time to subdue their flesh and connect themselves with the keynote, which is the Creator, right? And you get in tune, so you can't just hear what we see in the flesh, but your eyes are allowed to be open to the unseen realms and what's really going on. They have things happening there that we still, even in our language or whatever language, we don't have the words to actually accurately explain what's happening, right? But if you understand that we are spirits who have bodies here in this realm, a lot of things you can set into its right place, and your understanding will begin to grow, and you can align yourself just a little bit more with the Creator to see some things that most people cannot see, right? That's why there were prophets in Israel, right? The prophets were the ones that were connected to true Creator, right? And we found out here that Israel was once called faithists. Their name were changed. They became Israelites as they went into Egypt, right? All the history, right? Listen. Yes, babe.
The speaking will be ended.
You can end it too. I'll call you. Oh, let me go back, y'all. Let me go back up. Verse 29. And whatever God or goddess hath said, come unto me, ye that are heavily laden, and I will give you rest, for I am the way of salvation and of light and of everlasting life. Then that God or goddess shall be bound unto the first resurrection, as long as mortals or angels go unto him or her. Behold, as such a God called, and they answered unto him, so do I give unto both. The God that calleth, and the subject that runneth unto him. For I give liberty even unto my enemies. But when a subject goeth to a God, and saith, Behold, thou hast said, Whither I go, I will call all men unto me, and I believe in thee. Then that God shall not put him away. Whilst Osiris was worshipped, I gave unto Osiris the false. While Ashtaroth was worshipped, I gave unto her. While Baal was worshipped, I gave unto Baal. But when any of these gods were no longer worshipped, behold, I gave them no more subjects. As long as Brahma is worshipped, I will give unto him who was before me. As long as Buddha is worshipped, I will give unto him who was before me. As long as Christ spelled with a K here, we know this Christ is Lu among the false, not the real Christ that people would like to refer to. That was it was an actual person, right? Because we talk a lot of mad junk about Jesus. But there was an actual person, right? Because I got to the point, I'm like, Father, was there not a Jesus, right? Because all the books we done read through, this is a liar, all of that, right? But there we found out there was a real character, right? A real person, I'm sorry, not character. And his name, according to Oahspe, was Joshua. We read about him in his scenes as well, right? Everybody has their perception of the story of what happened, right? But there's truth found in the midst of all of it. We just got to get all the information, put all the information on the table, actually go through the information, right? So we can shake out the dross, keep what's good, let go of what's bad. Some people don't even have the patience to do that, right? And so when you don't have the patience to do that, when you get to that point where you no longer have the patience to consider all things available and actually take the time and go through it, you no longer become a good research buddy, right? Because you're going to impede our growth, because now you hold biases against certain things. That's not what we strive to do here. We're putting everything on the table. We're testing everybody's information, right? Because we, at least from my background, I was stuck in Christianity too long, too many lies that kept me from the truth, right? And so I'm testing everybody's information. We're putting everybody's book on the table, right? And we're going through it, and we're going to test all things. And not just reading the words, but we're going to look at the outcome of the words. When actually practice, right? Actually practicing truth. Not people that just want to sit and talk all day. That is not what we're about here, right? We're true testers of information. And not only that, but to actually truly test the things that we find in here about the spirit, you have to be in line with the keynote. He said, I'm giving you the keynote. It's me. Y'all need to find the rest, right? But all the other stuff is still the bickering and all this stuff, and we trying to get the next note, right? You align with the keynote, which is the creator, Yah, right? In the order of the family, let's just use the family, like it says. Align with the keynote, then the husband aligns to the keynote, which is the creator, right? So when a husband is aligned with the creator, he speak as the creator would speak. Not that he's the creator, but he's speaking as the creator would speak. Then you have the wife. You align the wife to the husband because the husband is aligned to the creator, right? And then you align the children to the mother because the mother is aligned to the husband who is aligned to the creator, thereby staying in tune. One band, one sound, right? We need to find the keynote, find the common denominator amongst us all, right? All the bickering points and all that stuff, that's not what we need. We need to find the keynote. The keynote is the creator. Can we agree? Let's describe. What do you call the creator from your language, right? Okay, now explain that a little bit more. You say God. Okay, explain that a little bit more, because from our perspective, God is someone born of a woman. Let me break down to you who I call the creator as I refer to him, right? Creator of all things, not putting any title. All things come out of him, right? Not somebody who was born through a woman, because you can't necessarily, you got to think about all these things, right? If we could learn how to sit and talk and clarify our terms, we can find the keynote, people, right? Creator is keynote, aligned to him, right? And then we'll have a beautiful tune coming out of the earth, one band, one sound. And the Father be like, look at my sons and daughters down there. Look at the beautiful array of colors that I've created and put in everything. That's us. That's you. That's me, right? Hey, girl, hey. Listen. Let me just go to 30 again. Where we at? 52 minutes. Okay, let me go back to 30. Where we at? And we'll read, let me not say we're going to stop, because I started a few minutes late. I think I want to give y'all them few minutes back. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me read 30. Behold, as such a God called, and they answered unto him, so do I give unto both, the God that calleth, and the subject that runneth unto him. For I give liberty even unto my enemies. But when a subject goeth to a God and saith, behold, thou hast said, whither I go, I will call all men unto me, and I believe in thee, then that God shall not put him away. Whilst Osiris was worshipped, I gave unto Osiris the false. Whilst Ashtaroth was worshipped, I gave unto her. Whilst Baal was worshipped, I gave unto Baal. But when any of these gods were no longer worshipped, behold, I gave them no more subjects. As long as Brahma is worshipped, I would give unto him who is before me. As long as Buddha is worshipped, I would give unto him who is before me. As long as Christ is worshipped, I will give unto him who is before me. As long as the Mohammedans are upheld on the earth, I will give unto him who built up Muhammad, right? Think about this like a family, right? These are all your children. Some of them, they following the rules of the house. They walking in the principles you taught them while you were in your house, because you're preparing them to go out in the world and just kind of reproduce that same thing, right? Hopefully you were teaching righteousness in your household, right? You're reproducing righteousness for the sake of the Creator, so he can have a more righteous kingdom. Like, we're helping the Creator build righteousness here on earth, right? If we can get to the families, because the families is where it starts. If we build righteousness in the families and just keep to that and hold to that, it's going to take some time, right? But we'll help the Creator cover the land in righteousness, us doing our part while we still have our flesh here, right? But you also have some children that want to go about and do their own thing, right? Do we disown our children? Some people do. Some people, their methods of teaching their children, those who've gone astray, sometimes we're the ones who enabled our children, right? And I would say those through your own ignorance, right? Not on purpose, but through your ignorance, you've enabled your child to be something other than what other people would term as righteous out there in the street, right? You got bickering amongst the children, right? You don't go because you don't go and kill one of your children because they're fighting against another. Now, some people do, but when you talk about them, we're talking about righteousness, trying to understand this from the Creator's perspective, right? Everything that he wants to teach us, he's given us the opportunity to learn within our own household, right? We don't just go, if one of our kids piss us off, when we're like, to the dirt I send you, although some people will. That is not righteousness. That is not what we do, right? We are to teach each other how to work out the problems amongst one another so we can be a fully functioning family and continue to grow together, right? When you get that training at home, when you get out there and you have your family, you'll be able to do that same thing. You'll be able to, you have a reference point, you have a template, or you have a design, you have memory to help you and guide you along the way, right? It's the same thing. Brothers and sisters fighting. You got some of them call themselves Christians. Some of my Hebrew brethren and sisters, right? We got those off up in here still worshiping Buddha, right? But the Creator's looking at it the same exact way, right? This is one family. This is my family, right? So which is why I give them the freedom to see that out, right? We can see that in the New Testament, right? The prodigal son. All right, go ahead and take everything. I'll give you everything. We see the principle, right? You want all your inheritance now? I give it to you. Go ahead, take it. They're going to squander it away. He said, but let them see it to the end. Hey, son. What time y'all rolling out of here?
I have no idea, but I do got a question.
Yes.
Bitters.
Bitters. My bitters.
Yes, your bitters.
You want to take a shot of my bitters?
I'm trying to do it every day because I'm not trying to get taxed $3,000
How
for
about
a
yours?
one thing.
You can take that I've been saving for you. You can prepare. You want my already prepared bitters.
Yeah,
That's why you bought that shot glass over here.
because I can't prepare them right now. It's way too early.
I'll allow it today, but when you come home, you had better start cooking up your batch.
That batch is
All right, y'all. Look, okay,
That nigga charging $200.
bro. You got a whole. You already got some unopened, still fresh.
I'm gonna just boil the whole thing and put it in my fridge.
Whatever. Has to never, son. Look, okay. About 37. As long as Buddha is worshipped, I will give unto him who is before me. As long as Christ is worshipped, I will give unto him who is before me. As long as Mohammedans are upheld on the earth, I will give unto him who built up Muhammad. And when all of you have purified and raised up all of those who idolize you, in that same time will I raise you up to higher heavens also, as said, and now, when the voice ceased, the voice being the creator, right? Our Father, all our Father, right? Tiffany, I just saw your comment, sis. Okay, look. And when all, verse 40, page 659, and when all of you have purified and raised up all those who idolize you, in that same time will I raise you up to higher heavens also. As said, now when the voice ceased and all was still, the false gods and goddesses raised up their heads and spake with one voice, saying, Thou art just, O Jehovah. Or we would say, O Yah, thou art just. Thou art just, O Jehovah. Unto thee do I now covenant that I will serve thee forever. Neither will I aspire to rise to higher heavens till I have raised up all whom I have led astray. Right? Y'all see me some of my older videos, I realized I was like, holy crap. Because remember before I really started researching reincarnation, bruh, I was about to lead some people off to the deep end. Thank you, Father, for saving me. Right, because the argument was really strong to me until I found cross-examination information, right? Listen, what it say in Proverbs? A matter seemeth right until cross-examined by the opponent, which is why we have to take all the information, put it all out here, right? Look, thou art just, O Jehovah. Unto thee do I now covenant that I will serve thee forever. Neither will I aspire to rise to higher heavens till I have raised up all whom I have led astray. Make me strong, O Jehovah, in this my everlasting covenant. Teach me, O Father, the labor I should do, that thou shalt be glorified forever. Thus ended the judgment. God's marshals removed them to the places allotted for them, and they went to work. Let's go raising up all those whom we have led astray, right? All right, chapter 18, page 660. S said, such then was the fate of the chief false gods in the lower heavens. But during the last 300 or 400 years, many of the officers of these false gods had ascended from them and had set up small heavenly kingdoms of their own. And their mortal followers were called sects. S-E-C-T-S, sex, like sex of people. That's why I spelled it, because sometimes my words, you probably can't really understand what I'm saying. These little heavens were, for the most part, situated on the earth, and usually these small gods inhabited the churches where mortals came to worship. And the preachers within these churches fell under the inspiration of these itinerant gods and their gangs of wandering spirits. In Gautama, which is America, right, which a lot of documents and holy books have actually removed, right? They removed Gautama, right? They removed the Americas. In Gautama, these inspirations were carried to such an extent by these Drusian gods that the mortals of one sect were made hostile against another sect. We see that? We got that here right here in the land with Islam and Christianity. And enmity therefore existed betwixt Protestants and Catholics, and betwixt Protestants themselves. Oh yeah, right. I said it wrong. Within the sects of the religion, like it just said. So you got Christians, but you got non-denominational, denominational. You got the Baptists. All of them acting a fool. In Gautama, these inspirations were carried to such an extent by these Drusian gods that the mortals of one sect were made hostile against another, one sect against another. And enmity therefore existed betwixt Protestants and Catholics, and betwixt Protestants themselves, and betwixt all these and the Jews. And not only on earth betwixt mortals did these things take place, but these petty gods had small kingdoms of their own, as a Presbyterian heaven, a Methodist heaven, a Baptist heaven, and so on. And that's one thing that I can say that I haven't come across yet in any of the books, any of them giving the heavenly account of what things were happening simultaneously, because we know that there are principalities and powers of the air, right? Who's giving that account? Nobody can give that account unless you're connected to the keynote, which is the Father. A lot of times, the prophets got that information, right? Because they was the only ones willing to do that hard thing and go crucify their flesh, so to speak, so they can actually hear clearly from the Father to find out what in the world was going on. Because look at the kings. The kings always had a prophet beside them. Even if they didn't want them, the Creator assigned a prophet to the kings because, okay, what's going on? Let's just call the prophet or whatever, right? Because they couldn't see past the flesh. Right, so that's something I noticed that I would say Oahspe is really strong in. I'm not just saying it because I found good information and I like it. I'm taking a really good liking to it, but because of my own personal experiences, because I do a lot of fasting and spiritual things happening, and I have dreams with the Creator showing me things that actually happen. And still now I've learned to test my dreams, make sure it is coming from the Creator and not a familiar spirit that knows me. I know how to decipher now between things. I can see things, right? And I'm searching through the different books. I'm like, who is even talking about the spiritual portion? Who's written it down, right? And a lot of times this particular portion of understanding, learning, the education for the spirits who have bodies, it was passed orally, right? Israel had that for the most part, but they began to degrade as they wanted to go back worshiping the multiple gods and stuff, right? So you can see through scripture, right? You can see through it, but you have to, at a certain point, the Bible only gives you certain things, but you start getting a little bit more as you go into some of the extra biblical books like the Apocrypha and some of these other things, the Book of Enoch, right? Study the Book of Enoch. In and out, right? A lot of things we study in the Book of Enoch, we found to be true. How do I know that? Not just because of read, but I've actually spent time outside observing the constellation, tracking things, tracking the moon, the sun, the rotations, all of this stuff, looking into it, going into NASA, checking out stuff, right? I'm like, okay. So that's what I tend to do with everything. A lot of people don't have the discipline to go that far, right? The words is good enough for them, not for me. We've been in a strong delusion way too long just to listen to your nice, smooth sounding words. That's how we got to the state that we are at now and away from our Creator, just by listening to smooth sounding words and those who are very well trained in oratory, right? Come on, people. Listen. These little heavens. Hold on. I went up too far. Hold on. Let me go back to verse 6. Oh, go ahead. Yes, you do. I mean, just like that, sis. Yeah. Right? I mean, but what can you say? The Creator, our Father, gives us liberty and freedom. I think that's the one you gave to me, but if you want it, take it. Oh, but if you want it, take it. I really don't need it. Go ahead and take it. Are you driving them? Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Y'all be safe. All right, love you too, son. Okay. Let me go back to 5. I'll start back at Gautama again. Verse 5 on page 660. In Gautama, These inspirations were carried to such an extent by these Drusian gods that the mortals of one sect were made hostile against another. And enmity therefore existed betwixt Protestants and Catholics, and betwixt Protestants themselves, and betwixt all of these and the Jews. And not only on the earth betwixt mortals did these things take place, but these petty gods had small kingdoms of their own, as a Presbyterian heaven, a Methodist heaven, a Baptist heaven, and so on. And when a mortal member died, his spirit fell into his heaven where he had lived, becoming a servant to these Druhas. And when he cried out, I want to go to Jesus, I want to go to Christ, he was shown the Drusian God and told, that is he, the which he would believe to be true. For what is bound on earth is bound in heaven. So if you are bound here in your thinking and your understanding, you gonna fall to the shenaniganizing camps of the angel spirits. Angels, remember, angels are nothing more than one-time mortals who have passed their flesh back to the dust, and they are fully born in spirit, right? Messengers.
Mom,
yes, babe.
you gotta switch it back today.
I don't know, son. How do we know that? We can look in the scripture and see that. We can look in the book of Daniel. Remember, Daniel was, hold on, boo.
On a cone.
No, you will have to wait. Think about this. One example, right? Book of Daniel. Remember when the messenger came to Daniel and Daniel fell prostrate? He said, get up, bruh. He said, don't bow to me. I am I'm one of you. I'm one of your brethren. And that, when I read that, I'm like, wait. And I was still like full-blown Christianity. But certain things just kept popping out to me like, Pam, pay attention. Pam, pay attention. I'm like, wait a minute. What did he mean? I remember the first time I asked my sister, I said, have you paid attention to this in Daniel? I said, this won't let me go. What? I mean, it's an angel, right? Are angels? Angels, like, they can go in and out of the flesh. Like, what did he mean? He's one of his brothers. And that's one of the things that just kind of stuck with me, and I'm researched. I'm like, what does this mean? It's a lot of those little hints, things that are alluding to a lot of things, but it's alluding to the spiritual things that you really can't understand until you go to a higher level, right? You have to get that, what I found out. Hold on, pause. What did I just say? And yet y'all steady pulling out the cones.
I didn't hear you.
But you got one in your hand. I would take all these cones and drop them in the trash can. Put them back in the box. Go put that ice cream back. I'm not playing with you, Isaiah. No, don't play with me. Just because your daddy done left out that door. Let's go. Put it up. All of it. And now you're going to wait a little bit later. Because you just stood here and asked me and I told you no. And you went and got your brother and your sister thinking I was going to let it slide.
No, I went in the garage.
No, here's the thing. You heard what I just said. You should have relayed the message to them.
I didn't even get Josh.
But you...
Josh just came down here.
You missing the point, son? Son, you missing the point. Y'all understand what I'm saying? He missing the point. I told him no. Just wait a little bit later. Yeah, Tootie, hold on. But then this is like the same thing we see all the time. But you knew and you did not relay the message to your brothers and your sister, right? And you're gonna let them go doing something that you know that I literally just told you are not to do right now. So everybody about to get in trouble. Put it back. Now everybody gotta wait.
Mom, I can only eat the cone.
You can't eat the cone. Not until I give it to you. Put it back, Josh. Close it up. Y'all go back upstairs. Look, okay. Let me go back to this. What was I saying? Hold on, let me go back. It'll jog my memory again. Hold on. Oh, let me go to the middle of this verse. At verse 6 on page 660. And when a mortal member died, his spirit fell into his heaven where he had lived, becoming a servant to these Druhas. And when he cried out, I want to go to Jesus, I want to go to Christ, he was shown the Drusian God and told, that is he, the which he would believe to be true, for what is bound on earth is bound in heaven. That's what I went off saying that, right? A lot of these things, you don't even get this understanding, the spiritual things, until you submit yourself to a discipline, like to really truly study the scriptures and put your flesh at bay to allow the spirit of our Father to flow through us freely and actually open our eyes and open our ears and give us true understanding, right? Because a lot of things have been misinterpreted through the books, and not just the KJV, Bella.
Who is these for?
Not for you. Y'all know that. Get out. Go back to the loft. Go. Now. Go back to the loft. Bella. That threw me off of what I was saying, y'all. Look, hold on. I believe it be true, whatever's bound on earth is. Oh, that's what I was saying. Right? You can't even really start tapping into some of these things. Like, most people would never be able to get a revelation, even like John Newborough did, right? John Newborough, for 10 years, he submitted himself to a discipline, right? He submitted himself to a discipline. It doesn't matter what discipline you have when you submit yourself to something. Now, that you got to be careful. It could be true on both sides, right? You submit yourself to evil disciplines, you're going to get the results of the seeds you are sowing. If you submit yourself to a righteous discipline, you're going to get the seeds. You're going to get the fruit of the seeds that are sown there, right? And so a lot of people, until you're even able to do that, you understand it goes no higher than just a regular sitting church member in a pew or whatever you want to call it, in the camp, whatever. It's the same thing. You're spiritually dull and dumb and cannot understand higher truths, right? Because these things are understood with the spirit and not the flesh reasoning and understanding. That has gotten us to where we are today, right? And we're trying to wake up and restore ourselves and one another from the deep delusion, the strong delusion. Okay. Verse 7, page 660. A Drusian god, Piod, established a sect and named it Mormon, and he located his kingdom on earth with his mortal followers, and he became master over the spirits of his mortal followers in the same way, calling himself the true Christ. Piod taught that all good Mormons will ultimately attain to rule over some planet and her heavens, but he never permitted the angels of his kingdom to go out of his reach. He also taught mortals that the more numerous progeny a man begot, the greater would be his heavenly kingdom in time to come. For this was Piod's scheme to make his own heavenly kingdom large and powerful, right? Because if you believe in this garbage, listen, y'all don't realize, well, some of y'all do. Y'all don't realize that what they get you to do here, everything that you do here carries over into eternity, if you want to term it that way, right? What you start here is going to continue to play itself out, right? So by him constantly leading more people astray, when you die in that state, you by default fall to that kingdom, and he's won more slaves to his kingdom to continue doing the same stuff, to keep deceiving other people, which we have to be on our P's and Q's, on our guard to make sure that we are not the most miserable above all men, like the Apostle Paul said, right? I don't agree with what he said, but I kind of agree with that. If this thing is not true, that we believe in, we're the most miserable of all men. And I found to be that we were lacking and we were indeed miserable, right? Look at the state of Israel. Look at the state of our people. Another Drusian god, Luganus, established a kingdom on earth and named it Shaker Heaven, pretending he was the true Christ, and his place became a heavenly bondage unto himself. Another Drusian god, Seyoan, established a heavenly kingdom on earth and called it the all highest heaven. This Lord called himself the Lord in all capital letters. He raised up a mortal, Swedenborg, whom he took in spirit subjectively into many of the lowest heavens and hells, and saying to him, behold, they that serve not the Lord, how hard it is with them. And he further said, this place of darkness is the Brahmin heaven, that place of darkness is the Buddhist heaven, but this place of light is my heaven, I the Lord. So when he said he took him subjectively, what is that? We will call that today an out-of-body experience, right? An out-of-body experience, or astral projection, as the New Agers would term it. But still, the fact remains that we are spirits who have bodies, right? When we've destroyed our vehicle, our flesh releases our spirit, and then we're born into spirit. On whatever lesson you was stuck on learning when your ghost was set free, right? That's the state you are when you enter into the spiritual realm. You don't become perfect when you get there. Some people, oh, you're in no more pain. No, I don't believe that. I do not believe that based on my own spiritual experiences with whether you want to call it demons, spirits, whatever you want to term it. My experience with the unseen realm tells me and teaches me that this is not true. And some of these things, a lot of these things, we're able to test while we still have our flesh, right? I'm just saying. Another Drusian god, verse 10, page 660. Another Drusian god, Seyuan, established a heavenly kingdom on earth and called it the highest, the all highest heaven. This Lord called himself the Lord. He raised up a mortal, Swedenborg, whom he took in spirit subjectively, or had an out-of-body experience, so you can go see, right? If anybody has learned how to operate their body in that way, how to readily, at the drop of a dime, have an out-of-body experience, when you get trained to do it, you can do it at the drop of a dime, right? It can be tested. This is not just a religious thing anymore, people. Remember we was reading the CIA document, right, before we got into my big toe with the scientific engineer going through the stuff and the tests that they did. Robert Monroe, their university, what the military does with this type of information to gain secrets from other nations. They take people and teach them how to astral project or leave their body on purpose, right? And they steal secrets. They do all this stuff. They spy on people. This is a real thing. People who don't profess any kind of God understand the capability of what these bodies were created to do while it has a spirit inside of it, right? Right? This is the vehicle that our Father has given us to navigate this world, but it's school for us all. There are things we're supposed to be learning here, and a lot of us is tricking off our time. Verse 11, this Lord called himself the Lord. He raised up a mortal, Swedenborg, whom he took in spirit subjectively into many of the Lord's heavens and hells, saying to him, behold, they that serve not the Lord, how hard it is with them. And he further said, this place of darkness is the Brahmin heaven. That place of darkness is the Buddhist heaven. But this place of my light is my heaven, I, the Lord. Thus did this Drusian god establish a Swedenborg heaven, and mortals looked upon him as the true Christ, and after death their souls went thither. So it came to pass, as had been prophesied of old, lo, Christ here, lo, Christ there, right? And we see that New Testament. If somebody say, yo, the Christ is over here in the desert, don't go, because he can't. Y'all remember, right? We ain't even gonna get into it. And as it was with Lu amongst heavenly kingdoms, thus split into hundreds of remnants, even so was it with the heavenly kingdoms of the other false gods, Brahma, the false, and Buddha, the false, so that there were on the earth thousands of petty gods, heavenly kingdoms of darkness and misery. Now, of all these Drusian gods, whether of China, or Vidyu, or Arabinia, or Europa, or Gautama, rejected Jehovah, but took the name of some one of the four false gods, and protested that he himself was the true God and Savior. Immortal sects that followed them did the same thing. The Presbyterian professed the true Christ, but denounced all others as false. The Methodists professed the true Christ, but denounced all others as false. The Mormon professed the true Christ, but denounced all others. The Roman Catholics also professed the true Christ, but denounced all others as false. Even so was it with all of them, and none of them practiced righteousness and good works, but were warriors and money getters for self's sake. That's still happening. We didn't even got to test that to see that that's true. A lot of us come out of that garbage. God had said, behold, I give a new testimony unto the nations of the earth. In the time I overcame and cast out the four heads of the beast, the acrimony existing between different sects began suddenly to die out, and they spake friendly to one another. And it was so. I'm going to read this last chapter right here. Chapter 19, the dawn of Cosmos, because it's 18 verses and we'll pause. Oh, yes. Because tomorrow we're going to get into the overthrowing of slavery in Gautama, my G. This is Israelite history as seen in America, which they so conveniently left out of the KJV, right? If King James could have done anything, it ain't wasn't even really up to him because it wasn't even him. It went all the way back to Constantine time. What did Constantine do? Constantine did what a lot of people are accusing others that they're doing, taking all the good out of different religions and making it one book. That's exactly what Constantine said. You can look up the Council of Nicaea and they will tell you that that's what they did. They took all the good from different religions and they canonized it and made it one book in hopes to make one world religion. Like they're talking about the one world religion, Illuminati and all that crap. Now, bro, y'all been asleep for a very long time. They did this a long time ago, right? They did this a very long time ago. You've been under one strong delusion, right? Because everybody falling up under their pappy the Pope too, right? Everybody. Y'all been really asleep. The dawn of Cosmon. As said, now whilst the holy council were still sitting in paradise, a light like a star came and stood above the throne of God, and the voice came out of the light, saying, Behold, the false gods are cast out and sent unto their places. Nevermore shall there be any other false god or Lord or Savior to lead my people away. I am sufficient unto my own creations. Let this therefore be the beginning of the Cosmon era. My people have settled the whole earth around, from east to west. The lands on the western borders of Gautama have become inhabited. Go then, my God, my son. Remember, son is another term that Oahspe used, that interchangeably used with God, right? So when you say God or son or daughter, it's referring to the current ruling God, right? Because it's just like presidents. It's successions, right? Same, we see it in the house. Everything that the Father is trying to teach us, we can see it in our own families. You can see it really good if you are brought up in a big family. And I was brought up in a big family, right? And even my family is big. I have 6 children. I already have 3 grandchildren at 43 years old. You can clearly see this, right? As a child get a little bit older, they become a little more trained in the laws of dad and mom in the household. Now dad and mom can step away. We're gonna go away for a little bit. We're gonna leave you in charge, son, right? And as the ones get older and this one goes out, you didn't have the opportunity to rule over my house. Now I'm gonna give you your own, right? And you go out and you start your own family. And all that you learn here in dad and mom's house, now you begin to do it, and you begin to play the role of creator. Now you're creating children, you're creating atmospheres, and you're building things. You're working to give them things, right? You're creating your own little world here in the flesh, right? A microcosm of the bigger world that we live in, right? It's like a picture within 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 a picture. Y'all see computer screens that do that when you do the picture within a picture, and it looks like it goes on for eternity. That's what happens here with families on the minutest, the smallest scale. Remember what a small government is called? A small government is called a family, right? Listen, we all get to practice this. So everybody gets to play the role of God or creator, whatever you want to have it, depending on what family you come from, right? And if you have a bunch of children, as they grow, the oldest kind of takes charge when dad and mom walk away, and they kind of run a house and learn how to operate. Are they listening to you? Why are they not listening to you? You got some that just kind of command the authority. They know how to talk to their siblings, right? They know how to talk to their siblings, not that they're mom and dad, but you must understand, well, how you gonna tell them? You ain't mama, you ain't daddy. You know, you got some smart, like my Josh, Josh will get up in Jeremiah and Elijah's face in a minute. What? And he'll challenge them, and we done left one of them in charge. And we come back, hold on. First of all, we left him in charge, not you. You're 10 years old. When we leave here, we expect you to show him the same respect because we left him in charge. He's daddy when we're gone. Not that he's your daddy, but he is standing in proxy for us. We left him in charge. He knows what to do. He's not going to do anything to lead you astray or wrong. Hopefully, they don't, right? But we do know we have that kind too. We got both sides, right? And looking at that, the way we read through Oahspe, the ones that go rogue or go astray, the ones that fall to the false god side, right? They want to do it their own way. We give you freedom, prodigal son. Go ahead. I'm gonna give you everything that I said I'm gonna give it to you now. Go ahead. Have your fill of life. Enjoy, right? But even when the prodigal son came back, what did the father do? We're going to slaughter the fattest calf. What? The other brothers and sisters like, what? How? And now we got this bickering and we mad because the father want to, is that not still the father's son or his daughter? Should he treat them poorly because he made poor decisions? I'm going to love you both just the same. Just like I will help you, I'm going to help them, right? We're going to help clean them up so we get back on the right path, right? Because it does me no good to kill him off or to disown him, right? Because eventually I'm going to be held to the creator for that because you entrusted him or her to my care. And whatever they're doing out there is a direct result of something that I did or didn't do, right? No matter how much you may think is not your fault, right? That's something we need to take up with our creator. At least from my understanding. Listen, look, the dawn of Cosmon. S said, now whilst the holy council were still sitting in paradise, a light like a star came and stood above the throne of God, and a voice came out of the light saying, behold, the false gods are cast out and sent into their places. Nevermore shall there be any other false god or Lord or Savior to lead my people away. I am sufficient unto mine own creations. Let this therefore be the beginning of the Cosmon era. My people have settled the whole earth around, from east to west. The lands on the western borders of Gautama or America have become inhabited. Go then, my God, my son, open the gates of heaven unto mortals. Let my angels meet them and talk with them face to face. Behold, my Etherian ambassadress, Chesivi Anathotes, come in a sea of fire. And sis has been the talk of the town, right? Because apparently she is supposed to be the current reigning administrator. I can see why people say that, but I'm not too sold on that part yet, right? And I could be missing some information. I've asked a couple questions about this because I've seen something else as I was reading through and going towards the end. I haven't even finished reading all of it yet, but based on the information I have, I'm not quite sold on that part yet, right? So I don't know that sis is the current ruling administrator, but if y'all have more information than I do, please share it with me so I can see. Like I said, it's gonna probably get to some other stuff, but like I said, this is the first time we've even come across her name. So verse 9, page 661. Behold, my Etherian ambassadress, Chesiviani Anathotes, come in a sea of fire. The ship of the Etherian goddess was seen descending from the higher heavens, coming as an open ring to embrace the whole earth. Now, I will say, I definitely do believe that she is within the administration. I'm not sure she's the top of the administration, but she's definitely in the administration. Her place in it just yet, I'm not too certain of, right? That's what I'm still trying to figure out. The ship of the Etherian goddess was seen descending from the higher heavens, coming as an open ring to embrace the whole earth. Again, the voice spake out of the light, saying, I know no distinctions of men, of races, or sex, or doctrines, or past revelations. All people are my people. Open the gates of heaven. Let my angels speak to mortals. Swifter and swifter came the Etherian archangels, till all the heavens of paradise were encircled in the love of the Almighty. Then God called out the legions who had the matter in charge, where mortals had been born for the work of Jehovah's kingdom. And God said, open the gates of heaven. Let the angels of Jehovah speak with mortals. The time of the Father's kingdom is at hand. Open the gates of heaven. Let the angels come forth in power. And in Hydesville, in Gautama, on the earth, the angels opened the door in Jehovah's name, not to be closed again forever and ever. And in after Hydesville right here, it's reference to letter H, right? And reference letter H, if we go to the end of the book. Oh, snap. Yo. What? It's only 2 chapters left. Hold up. Dang, if I would have known that. I don't know, y'all. We like, hold on. Man, we'll wait. We'll wait. But let me read this reference. We'll read this tomorrow. Just kind of go into, and right after this is the Book of Judgment. I'll leave it for tomorrow. But let me tell you about Hydesville. And in Hydesville, in Guatemala, on the earth, the angels opened the door in Jehovah's name to not be closed again forever and ever. After Hydesville, on, like I said, on page 664. H says, this refers to the 3 Fox sisters in Hydesville, New York, who heard spirit rappings in 1848. Right? So I actually highlighted this before because I was looking and it took me to this reference before, and I highlighted and I started looking up this stuff. This is when I start looking into Abraham Lincoln and all this stuff that started happening. You know, you had the Civil War that had happened, then you had the Emancipation Proclamation, all this stuff is beginning to unfold what was happening in the spiritual realm, what we didn't see, but we saw the fallout of what was happening in the spiritual realm based on what was happening here, right? So just a quick overview before we even start getting into it. So remember, all of this Oahspe is about the setting free of all. It's everything. Oahspe means, hold on, before I screw that up, go back. Oahspe literally means sky, earth, and spirit. O for sky, A for earth, and Spe for spirit, right? So it gives us all the accounts of what is happening. And I don't think there is one book that gives us all of that. But we see that throughout all these phases and eras of life, there have always been people who have been in bondage to rogue spirits, right? And the creator's motto is liberty unto all. He don't even want us in bondage to our brothers and sisters who have become high raised to lord over people. That is not what the creator wants. He wants us walking side by side, learning together, growing as a fully functioning, productive family, right? So this is just taking us through the eras where different people were enslaved. And now it's about to, although we got into Israel a little bit and what was happening, this is going to get into our time where we still have people that are part of our family that were alive then under Lincoln's administration, right? We're still seeing some of the fallouts of what was happening here. So this is, it's going to get into that. And essentially a portal was opened over America to help free Israel, right? We're still seeing a lot of that. We're still seeing a lot of prejudices towards Israel, Hebrew brethren, sister, and not just us, but people everywhere, because it's not just Israel that's been enslaved. All nations of the world, people are enslaved by all colors are enslaved by different powers that be, so to speak, right? And the creator doesn't take too kindly to any of it. He said liberty unto all men, right? I don't care the color, creed, nationality, religion, freedom for all men. And he wants us to think for ourselves, right? Use your own mind, not to be swayed by the research and oratory of another man, right? Take it in, research it, test it, be like the Bereans, see if these things that they're telling you be true, right? And that's what we want to be. We want to be diligent studiers and seekers of finding out truth, applying what is good, tossing in a fire everything else that's bad. All right, beautiful people, but that is it for today. Let's go ahead and get out of here. So I enjoyed this. But for real, again, I'll say, anybody got any more information on Chesidi and Athotes, please share it with me, right? Because I've been looking, I haven't come across it yet. And how y'all come to the conclusion that, I mean, I can see how that she's in administration, but whatever you have that you found that I haven't come across yet, just share it with me. Never. You can drop it in the comment section, email it to me, whatever, right? Because I need to make it a part of this so I can rightly weigh a lot of stuff, right? Okay. All right. That being said, beautiful people, hold on. What did I? Oh. All right, y'all. So today is Monday, September 26th, 2022 of year 4. I'm sorry. It's September 26, 2022, day 222 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,240. Those are the days that we have been here present, going through, researching scripture, bringing everything to the table. The days that we have not been present have been the Sabbath. Those are the days we rest, right? So we read pages 656 to page 661. And like I said, we're going to finish this up tomorrow, and it's going to get into some stuff about the slaves of Guatemala. The slaves of Guatemala, which are the slaves of America. They didn't change the names of the people of the slaves of America quite a few times, right? Quite a few times. All right. So with that being said, let me call Tootie Baby. Hold on first before I call her. Because I be calling her and she be like, Mom, you said you was done. Let me see if y'all left me a question or something. I saw y'all talking. I ain't read none of it. Most of it I didn't. Okay, hold on. Let me scroll to the top and just see if y'all left me a question. Go all the way to the top. See if I miss anybody to say hello to. Jamil, did I say hello? Jamil, shalom, sis. BC, greetings. Key, shalom, sis. I miss Key.
I can't hear you.
See, okay.
I can't hear you.
Okay, that's it. Okay. You're welcome, y'all. You're welcome. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Y'all so thick. Shalom. I be forgetting to check over. I know. It's easy to forget about Facebook over here because when y'all come in, it just kind of like disappear and I can't see it. So I got to tap the screen just to see. I'm sorry. Let me scroll through. Hold on.
I can hear you.
Levon, blessings. Okay. All right, beautiful people. That's it. Ray, shalom, sis. Bella, come on, girl. All right, y'all. I love y'all. And I will see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Go ahead and end it too, baby.